This is Battlecast Primetime on Command & Conquer TV. Lights, camera, action! We take you behind the scenes of the live-action cinematics for Kane's Wrath, who will be co-starring with the bald-headed Messiah this time around. Starring in the World Cyber Games, U.S. frontrunner Sean Teeter makes his way to Seattle for the grand finals. Will he go all the way? Another episode, another 5 explosive matches that set the bar for C&C players. Check out which ones were so good they can only be described as the Battlecast 5. All your Command & Conquer desires wrapped in one 30-minute show. Battlecast Primetime starts now. You're logged in to Battlecast Primetime. The man on my right, Raj Joshi. I'm David Silverman.
With 2 shows under our belt, you know what to expect. And once again, we won't disappoint.
That's right. This month we have even more breaking news, insider interviews, and exclusives you can't get anywhere else. And what would Battlecast Primetime be without explosive Battlecast action?
Boring?
Harvesting operations. The beautiful glow.
Well, good thing we wouldn't do that to you. No, we've packed in all the head-to-head action you can handle.
That's right. It's time for some flame tanks, firehawks, and phase fields.
Well, you do realize that phase field starts with a PH, right?
Can you think of a screen unit that starts with an F?
What about foundries?
Who wants to watch Foundries? Fine. Flame tanks, firehawks, and foundries. This is the Battlecast 5. Metalon Scrin versus Numbers Nod on Tournament Arena. After a failed Shadow Rush, Numbers starts with an aggressive Surveyor expansion to his opponent's blue Tiberium field. While Metalon starts rolling in the credits with an economy boom, Numbers holds his ground with a massive Saboteur Rush, and Metalon sends the simulators right back at him. The map is covered with a colorful array of Nod and Scrin structures, but in the end, Metalon's superior defenses force Numbers into fractions.
4.
A sprint mirror between Scorpion and Banger on Tournament Rift. Talk about back and forth. Both players rush midfield, but rather than destroying each other, they start in a simulator race. It's like Monopoly with deeds changing hands left and right, including multiple drone platforms. The battle's almost lost, but Banger can't find the last drone platform, as Scorpion secretly techs up in a neglected corner. 21 minutes later, and Scorpion's tripods make short work of Banger's Seeker army. Scorpion stings that lethal blow, and gets free parking.
3.
Back to Tournament Arena for a GDI mirror between Omega and Body. Tonight's edition of the Battlecast 5 is brought to you by the C&C Engineers. For the 3rd straight match, players start out with an Engineer Rush, but this time Omega shelters them in APCs. Body's not concerned though. He techs up his Firehawk with the Strato Fighter upgrade. Watch out, Omega. The sky is falling. The sky is falling! That makes Body the Alpha, and Omega, well, the Omega.
2.
Iceman GDI versus Supermakill Nod on Tournament Tower. Supermakill starts harassing early and never lets up, moving from flame tanks to avatars. But Iceman won't melt. Check out those sonic emitters, but his cold, hard stance is short-lived as Supermakill sends in his MTV, vaporizing those harassing rocket squads with a cloaking field. He hides a base in the seldom-used bottom gutter, even cloaking it with a disruption tower. He's also got beam cannons bolstering his obelisk. Mammoth tank disassembled. Ouch! Victory, Supermakill.
1.
And finally, Cabal Scrin versus Thrall GDI on the always explosive Barstow Badlands. An APC Engineer Rush gives Thrall a huge advantage, but the drone platform escapes. Run, platform, run! Cabal drops his technology assembler and queues up the tripods, but wait. 1 Warp Sphere gone, 2 Warp Spheres gone, 3 Warp Spheres, 3rd time's a charm. Cabal finally gets his tripods and makes his defensive stand in the south. Thrall almost has him cornered on this tiny map, but here come the tripods. Ruh-roh. Take me down to the comeback city where the grass is green and Cabal gets witty. And there's your 5 for this month.
The 5. Brought to you by Medal of Honor Heroes 2. Available on the Wii and PSP. Take the war into your own hands November 13th.
So how about those foundries, huh?
I didn't really notice any. Must have been too busy watching the grass grow. But we did see some flame tanks and firehawks help change the tide of battle.
That's true, and it's a shame the foundries didn't get their chance in the spotlight, but maybe next time.
Sure, Raj. When we return, Notice anything new on our website? APOC breaks down the Battlecast innovations in his corner. And a behind-the-scenes sneak preview of the Kane's Wrath cinematics. You aren't going to believe this all-star cast. Plus, our featured showdown on Riverside Rumble, when Battlecast Primetime continues on Command & Conquer TV.
Welcome back to Battlecast Primetime. I'm Raj Joshi. If last week's peek at Kane's Wrath wasn't enough for you, you weren't alone. David broke out his ninja outfit and snuck into the filming of the cinematics.
I do look good in all black. Footage from my expedition is coming up, along with details on the 2 newest members to join the ranks of prominent Hollywood actors featured in a Command & Conquer title.
That's right. The cast for Tiberium Wars included House starlet Jennifer Morrison and the 2 femme fatales from Battlestar Galactica. But first, Aaron APOC Kaufman fills us in on all of the news by the fans, for the fans, in APOC's Community Corner. Aaron?
Hey all you Command & Conquerors, this is APOC, your official Command & Conquer community manager. I'm back here at the Command & Conquer TV headquarters, here to give you the latest news from the community. I'm slowly gaining a bit more office space every episode. Still no Ocean View yet, but I'm getting there. First off, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a very special community birthday. He who loves the game, mods the game. He who mods the game, lives the game. The statement which has stood for the past 7 years on this fan site. We wanted to wish a very special happy 7th birthday to popular C&C modding site, Project Perfect Mod at www.ppmsite.com. Hey Banshee, you know we've met a few times, and you're one crazy freaking Brazilian. But you know what? We still love you and your team. And you'll even get to see some not-so-secret but highly confidential movies from our past C&C3 Community Summit. And as that crazy Brazilian Banshee likes to say, those movies are the awesomeness. After a competition which spanned 8 months, 74 countries, and hundreds of thousands of Command & Conquer players around the world, the World Cyber Games Grand Finals converged in Seattle, Washington, and taking home the gold from the United Kingdom, Sean Apollo Clark, when he defeated Xeon from Germany 2 matches to none. First he was the Battlecast Primetime star, now he's the Command & Conquer 3 World Champion, and he's got $12,000 to boot. Sean Apollo Clark, what in the hell is next for you?
I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I might take a holiday, come back here maybe. I don't know.
Stay tuned later in the show when we take you to the World Cyber Games Grand Final, where you'll get an exclusive look at all the C&C epic drama that went down. It may not be the World Cyber Games, and it's definitely not Chutes and Ladders, but come on, who doesn't like an occasional game of Chutes and Ladders? The first official ladder season for the Command & Conquer 3 League kicked off late last month. The first of 3 qualification rounds for our season-ending finals just passed on October 22nd. Congratulations to our top-ranked 8 players on the 1v1 ladder who qualified for the season-ending tournament in the first round. You are one giant step closer to winning the coveted $5,000 check. And not to mention my undying respect. The ladder season continues with the second qualification round ending on November 19th. So get on that 1v1 ladder and start playing, Commander. And to anyone persisting to cheat and disconnect in Command & Conquer 3, watch out for Judge Iron Fist APOC coming to a show near you. Trust me, it's going to be one account-shattering explosive show. In the year 2432, the interstellar war between the allied worlds of Sol and the Core, and the Triaxis, saw the whole of human space descend into 7 long years of apocalyptic war. This is... Wait, what? No, this isn't Command & Conquer 10 Interstellar Wars. This is the precursor story to Asylum, a total conversion mod for Command & Conquer 3 that's hot in production. If you want to check it out, go to asylum.slipstreamproductions.net. And here's a shout out I bet you didn't see coming. Download the beta now for Red Alert: A Path Beyond, a total conversion mod for the thriving legacy game Command & Conquer Renegade. This mod brings Renegade fans all the FPS excitement of retro alternate World War II action and a few nostalgic tears to our eyes. Support this Renegade mod now at www.pathbeyond.com. You've been ordered. And now, Chris Corey, executive producer, is here to tell you why the new Battlecast system is definitely the awesomeness.
Thanks, Aaron. New awesomeness indeed. We have some great improvements coming to Battlecast. Let's take a look. We're going to start on the league page here for Season 1. And we're going to take a look at a player profile here, Commander NR. And the first thing I want to pull your attention to is this little scrolling widget that actually shows cards for some of his most recent matches. You can click directly on the cards to get match details there. But we're going to pop down here, look at his match history. You can now, directly from match history, click on that match, and we'll get sent straight into the Battlecast program guide, where we can see the match details there. We're going to come here, go into the archive section of the site, and this is showing all the Battlecast matches for the last day. Obviously, we have a tab here for the matches that I've played, the matches that my clans have played. Top matches is actually pretty interesting. So this applies an algorithm and pulls out ones that have a high likelihood of being high-quality matches. So these are matches where the participants are senior members of the community, maybe they're high on the ladder, or maybe the match has been downloaded and watched by many different people. So I also want you to check out the Historic Matches tab here. This is where we'll be putting replays of matches that are particularly high quality or were perhaps featured on Battlecast Primetime or some of our other web shows. And additionally, if you have a match that you've played in or that you watched that you thought was extraordinary, feel free to drop APOC a line and we'll see about getting that match up into Historic Matches as well. So just like the current program guide, we also support a full set of advanced options, and many of these will look familiar, but there are some new ones here. Popularity, that's the number of times that the match has been viewed by other people, and match rating, which is based on the rating votes that are collected when people watch the replay. And boom, we've got 19 pages of matches here. Easy to jump into one, click on View Match, and we're ready to go. And I really want to encourage you guys to get your feet wet with our commentary features. There are a lot of people experimenting with the telestrator, but keep in mind that if you have a microphone attached to your computer, you can record audio, and that will be uploaded to our servers along with the rest of the replay data. Of course, if you think you can do it better, don't forget that you can add commentary to a replay after the fact. So that's it for our new Battlecast features. Thanks a lot. Hope to see you online.
It's like RTS Nirvana. These new features guarantee you can get your daily fix of C&C action while you wait for the next episode of Battlecast Primetime.
Or if you're like me, you can make your own version of the 5 every weekend, just for fun.
That's a bit scary.
Well, don't you do that too?
No, we have interns for that. But now the story you've been waiting for. Cinematics from Kane's Wrath. Here's your peek at the upcoming stellar FMVs. See if you can spot the high-profile actors.
We all make mistakes. I think that's part of being human, and Brother Marcion made a mistake. Circumstances being what they were, he thought he understood what was going on, but unfortunately, he didn't. And he pays a price. But fortunately, Kane is there to bring him back into line.
Kane. Yes. Kane's Wrath is actually, it's a musical. They've added a lot of really cool songs. I have a very nice aria in the second act. I have a lovely tenor voice, actually. A lot of tap dancing numbers as well, and a nice little clog section with a lot of clogging. Those are the only secrets I'm allowed to give.
What have you done? What have you done? And you, and what have you?
She's the angel of the nods. I mean, she very much, Kane is her, she idolizes him. He is her prophet. He is, her everything.
Action! The only way you'll get more quality videos like that is to buy the expansion early 2008.
Or keep watching Battlecast Primetime. Maybe the News Ninja will make a comeback.
That's a pretty lame alias. Speaking of alias, you just saw co-star Carl Lumley. He'll be featured in Kane's Wrath along with Natasha Henstridge. Not too shabby.
Personally, I can't wait to see more of them, especially Natasha. I'm sure she'll add a whole 9 yards of fun to the game. Get it? She was in that movie, A Whole 9 Yards?
You better believe we got more Kane's Wrath info to leak later. But for now, ever wonder why Tiberium is green? Or why GDI's airships are named after killer whales? Want to know how the online auto matcher works? Or what the Confessor upgrade does? Well, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Only stupid answer. It's time to ask a developer.
By the time you're watching this episode, APOC and his forum monkeys will have already created a new thread on the C&C forums called Ask a Developer. Here you can post all those burning questions or go the extra mile and post a link to a video of yourself asking. Be sure to show off your C&C swag and maybe you'll be featured here on Ask a Developer.
In the meantime, Raj, hand me today's question. Thank you. It says here this was submitted by a dapper young go-getter, now a producer for a major video game company. He prides himself in his C&C skills. Look at that, he used a Z. How cute. Raj Joshi asked, wait a minute, Raj Joshi?
Well, yeah, what did you expect? The thread hadn't been posted yet.
That's a good point. Why does David Silverman always get to read the show open on Battlecast Primetime? I stand corrected. That was a stupid question. Raj, I thought we'd settle this like adults. I was higher on the 1v1 ladder, remember? Anyways, it's time we turn our attention to Ask a Developer with some questions you may actually want to know.
Thanks, guys. I'm Amir Rao, a level designer on Command & Conquer 3, and since we don't have the forum post up yet, I'm going to go ahead and answer a question I see on the forums all the time, which is how does veterancy work? Well, a unit starts with no veterancy. Once it kills 3 times its own value in units, it becomes a veteran. A veteran does 10% more damage and has 10% more health. The next level up is Elite. At Elite, a unit has 20% more health and does 20% more damage. After killing 3 times its value again, a unit is considered Heroic. At Heroic, a unit does 20% more damage, has 50% more health, has twice the rate of fire, and is much harder to suppress. You'll notice Heroic units because they have a special Heroic icon and Heroic firing effects. Well, that's all for now. If you have your own questions, go to commandandconquer.com and post them. Back to you guys.
I'm glad we got that cleared up. Send us your questions at commandandconquer.com. Hey, I got a question. Who's going to be playing in our featured match?
Great question, not telling. When we return, neither rain nor storms nor precipitation can stop us from bringing you news of the Seattle World Cyber Games Grand Finals. Plus, Associate Art Director Mike Colonnese talks about the art of the Messiah. Hallelujah! When Battlecast Primetime continues on Command & Conquer TV. Welcome back to Battlecast Primetime. I'm David Silverman. Kane's Wrath will introduce some huge changes to all 3 factions, literally. The expansion pack will include all new epic units, the biggest units in the game. Mike Colonnese is in studio standing by to tell us more about the art and creation of these units.
But first, while Kane's Wrath may be months away from release, there's still a lot happening with C&C3. It all starts in Seattle, where world-class players are duking it out Tiberium style. Let's learn more from the front.
Thousands of gamers from 74 nations around the world have been battling it out for a chance to take home the gold at the World Cyber Games Grand Finals in Seattle, Washington. For more details, let's dial up APOC to walk us through this momentous event.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Aaron APOC Kaufman, your official Command & Conquer Community Manager. We're here in Seattle, Washington, covering the 2007 Grand Finals of the World Cyber Games. Some of the top players are here from around the world, and they're all competing for a chance to be crowned the world champion of Command & Conquer 3, and not to mention a shot at winning $12,000.
I would like to welcome you to the 2007 World Cyber Games.
So it looks like you're on your way to the single elimination bracket on Saturday. How do you feel about your chances so far?
I think my chances are pretty good. My toughest opponent would be Dackle, obviously. He's a fantastic player. His micro's insane, his macro's insane. He's got all the attributes to win the whole tournament.
I think luck will be an important factor.
Well, I would say one of the best looking players right now is definitely Dackle.
If I'm lucky, I might win the tournament.
It is day 4 here at the World Cyber Games Grand Final, and we are going for gold with Command & Conquer 3. It's going to be Xeon from Germany and Apollo from the UK. It should be quite an epic showdown.
Just put it down at that Western expansion so he's
I'm feeling fantastic. It's what I aimed for from the start, and it's just great. I don't know what to say. It feels awesome.
The long-awaited Battlecast viewer will finally arrive alongside patch 109. This standalone feature lets you download and watch C&C3 replays from CommandandConquer.com. When you download the free viewer, you'll get the entire multiplayer game, all the art, units, and maps, but none of the functionality. That's right, it's locked in observer mode, meaning you can only watch other people play. Hey, there's no such thing as a free lunch, people.
Earlier in the show, we saw how awesome the cinematics in Kane's Wrath will be, but they're just a small part of the art direction. It takes an incredible amount of skilled designers, modelers, and animators to create the environment, structures, and units you all know and love. Kane's Wrath is introducing a new challenge for our dedicated artists, the Epic Unit. These larger-than-life elite vehicles are designed to be highly customizable, game-changing units, feared by your opponents. Joining us now to talk about the art of the Epic Unit is Associate Art Director Mike Colonese. Mike, welcome to Battlecast Primetime.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Mike, a lot of the fans have been asking questions about these Epic Units, how they play, how they look, all that stuff. But before we get into that, let's get to know a little bit more about you. So on Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars, you were doing concept art, you were doing modeling, you were doing some animation. With all this kinds of stuff, how many of these skills do you still use as an art director?
Everything. I mean, the project's in various stages of production each day. So we may be doing concept work on an alien and then doing animation for a nod unit in cinematics. So it's a lot of jumping around each day for the artist.
Now, Mike, on C&C3, you were the lead artist. Mm-hmm. With all these different units in C&C3, was there any one in particular that you were just like, man, that unit's awesome?
Definitely the Mammoth tank. It's a classic C&C unit. It was really important for us to get the look for GDI down early. So it's got that kind of functional design, very angular, and very cool. So it was a great leaping board for the rest of the project and getting the rest of GDI in.
Sweet. So now let's get to the Epic Unit, the moment everyone's been waiting for. We have not released any details on the Epic Unit. Nobody knows what it is except the name Epic Unit, which, can mean a lot of different things.
Huge.
So with the Epic Unit, how is it different from, say, a Juggernaut or an Annihilator Tripod or even an Avatar?
Well, it's twice as big as any of those units. It's got its own build structure, so it's very expensive, later game unit, and you can only have one out in the battlefield at a time, just like a Commando.
Okay. So I got the suits upstairs to allow us to leak a special image of the Nod Epic Unit. So we're going to pull that up momentarily. When we do, can you just walk us through that? So like the choices you made from an art direction standpoint, different things, where'd you get the inspiration, things like that. Let's pull it up now.
So it starts out as a basic chassis, and it was really important for us to get that kind of Nod evil design. So it's got very sharp angles to it, that smooth Nod look, lots of red glowy lights, and the cool dark Nod texture to it. It also has upgradable hardpoints on it, so depending on what kind of unit you throw inside, it will change the artwork on it.
That sounds pretty cool. So if I drop like a black hand in there, it'll be like a flamethrower kind of thing?
Yeah, you'll get 2 giant flame tanks on the back, or you put a militant in it and you'll get 2 giant rocket launchers on the shoulder. So it'll be very cool for the players, to customize these giant walker robots and then, run them out in the battlefield.
That's pretty cool. Now, unfortunately, suits upstairs didn't bite, and I can only leak that one. So the rest of the Epic units will have to remain a mystery for now. But last episode of Battlecast Primetime, we did see Jim Vassell at Leipzig kind of walk us through some of the new units. So we saw like the Cyborg, and we saw the Shatterer tank for GDI. Can you walk us through some other the new units and how you got the idea for their look and how they act and whatnot?
Well, I mean, we're on the message board each day reading what the fans want, and so getting the hover vehicles back in was really important to us. Going back into the C&C franchise, getting the Cyborgs in there. So it's just, we wanted to get what the fans wanted, so a lot of new cool stuff and stuff from the older games.
Mike, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now go finish Kane's wrath.
But David, we film Battlecast Primetime on Saturdays.
That's besides the point, Raj. Our fans are anxiously awaiting him to finish Kane's wrath, and hey, we're working here. Coming up, our featured match on Riverside Rumble. Which players from the 5 are playing? You'll have to wait till we go through the eyes. Whoever the mysterious competitors are, C&C developers Greg Black and Jason Bender will be here to break down all the action. Battlecast Primetime continues on Command & Conquer TV.
Hey kids, are you sick and tired of video games that are horrible? That's why you'll love The Simpsons game. It's got all your favorite Springfield characters, like the fat guy, the blue-haired dame, their annoying little kids, plus aliens, gangsters, evil augers, and surprise guests. And the best part is, I'm the star. What? They can't play as me? What do you mean ancillary character? The Simpsons game, rated T for teen.
PlayStation 3, starting at $3.99.
Let's get ready to rumble! On the Riverside. Joining us in the studio to help break down the players and strategies are C&C developers Greg Black and Jason Bender. Guys, welcome.
It's great to be back, David. Hey, did you see that ninja at the Kane's Wrath shoot get totally shot down by Natasha Henstridge?
Oh, snap!
Yeah, if only he could have found a way to ninja her wedding ring away. Well, it's finally time to learn who will be fighting in our featured match.
Not quite. Before we meet the players, let's get to know a little bit more about the terrain they'll be traversing. What does your battleground reconnaissance show, Greg?
Riverside Rumble is a strategic 1v1 map with an emphasis on economy and terrain control. Players start in opposite corners on a defensible plateau with only 2 entrances protected by many garrisonable structures. Each player has a starting field and a nearby expansion field, but these are the only 4 tib fields on the map, so economy is key and every unit counts. This port town is divided by a river, giving the map its title. There are only 3 ways across the river: a land bridge in the northwest corner, 2 destructible bridges to a center island with a capturable turret, and 2 more destructible bridges to a lone tip spike in the southeast corner. When a bridge is blown, it'll take an engineer in one of these gatehouses to repair it. The Brotherhood of Nod may have an advantage on this map, as their saboteurs can booby-trap bridges. Of course, aircraft can bypass the choke points altogether, but with more than 40 abandoned structures throughout, expect to see lots of garrisoned anti-air infantry.
Thanks, Greg. Now let's learn a little bit about the 2 commanders who will be tearing it up on the Riverside. Let's go through the eyes. Our first competitor comes to us from the Netherlands, Amsterdam. His name is Armin Baysal, but to the C&C community, he's just R. R was born in December 1988 in Ankara, Turkey. As a kid, he loved to play soccer, but he said talking about video games with his teammates made him want to skip practice and play C&C. Good job, R. At the moment, he's studying to be an airplane technician. He's always wanted to be a pilot. R can play any faction, but he especially likes steamrolling his opponents with the powerful Skrin late game. Like many players, he's unsure if Kane is evil, but he did say with some certainty that Apollo and Yama are. He says the biggest mistake you can make is to avoid the top players. You should play with them, hang out with them, and soon you'll be as good as them. Tonight he'll be answering the timeless question, are you ready to rumble?
His opponent plays from the snow-covered mountains of Skien, Norway. When we asked him to spell his name phonetically, he replied, "It's really hard to explain as it contains 2 sounds you don't have in America. Give it your best shot, and I won't complain." So here goes it, Seminli Locus. Or around here, we like to call him Chuck. You may know him from the boards as Medalon. Medalon was born in December 1990 in Nordkapp, Norway, the northernmost point of all Europe. He's just starting his 2nd year of high school, but he aspires to go to college and study media, or computer engineering. If you're wondering why he's such a good C&C3 player, well, it's because he got the game a week before its release. That's right, an internet store in his country made a huge mistake and sent out the pre-orders a week early. Of course, it could also be because he's played the Red Alert 2 campaign more than 100 times. As a self-described techer, he plays Skrin because of their superior air force and late-game abilities. His advice to new players? Build units. Teching is great, but you won't get far without an army. If you want to follow in these players' footsteps, watch the next Command School. Developer Greg Kasavin's Skrin Spectacular will teach you to rock this endgame powerhouse. An explosion montage is practically guaranteed.
Once more, the time has come to put our reputations on the line as we choose our pick of the match. Gentlemen.
Just for the sheer piracy of it, I'm going to have to go with R.
And you know, Jason, for once, I think I'm going to have to agree with you on something. I'm going to go with R2. He's played 3 times as many games as Medalon, over 3,000 matches. That is a lot of bang for your buck.
More like bang for your buccaneer, am I right?
Raj Joshi on the on-deck circle. Who are you going to pick?
Well, it's a tough decision, but I'm going to have to pick the young chap from the very green city of Amsterdam.
Why does that not surprise me? And that's going to leave me going with Chuck. Well, there you have it. Gates are closed, bets are in, gentlemen. Let's rock. Tonight's matchup is between Medalon's GDI and R's Scrin on Riverside Rumble.
R in the north corner starts off with a strong infantry rush by building a base defense and selling it and a barrack, so now he's got plenty of riflemen to play around with.
Meanwhile, in the south, Medalon builds up a power plant and a foundry, launches that drone ship, and heads straight for the center.
Now this is match 5 out of 5 for these guys, so the stakes couldn't possibly be higher. While they're building up, let's go take a look at the previous 4 matches. Medalon's Secret Shrine calls in 2 shadow teams. He builds a 3rd and sells the shrine for an even 4. They take out a power plant and a crane, but R's Storm Riders wipe out his harvesters and the power grid for the win. 1-0 R.
Medalon's expansion is getting wiped out by those Scorpions, and R's Vertigos take out his tech center. But he rebuilds it, holds off the attack, and comes back for the win. They're tied at 1-1.
It's R's turn to try the Shadow Rush. They cross the river and land to take out a crane, but Medalon sells his refinery and uses buzzers to wipe them out. R must have been really frustrated, because soon after he forfeits the match. 1-2, Medalon.
R Nod cloaks 2 flame tanks and sneaks them to a bottleneck. His decoy army puts 2 fakes inside Medalon's base, while the real ones level a war factory. From here, the real ones retreat and go stealth, while the decoys create a diversion. The fakes are wiped out, and the real flame tanks are cloaked inside Medalon's base. Check out this micro, as only 2 units take out an airfield, an operations center, a tech center, 2 power plants, half a dozen tanks, and a refinery. Finally, one goes down to a predator, but R's second flame tank escapes and goes stealth. He waits it out and levels the con yard, tying it up 2-all.
Wow, that was some excellent flame tank micro. If R can keep that up in this game, I think he's got a very strong chance of winning.
It looks like he is going with the micro. He's got APCs here loaded up with engineers now, and that's a big micro package.
And back over here at Medalon's base, you can see he looks like he's going for something of an economy boom, a pretty traditional build order here. He's got a wide base spread out and is putting down for the long term.
Yeah, that's gonna do well in the late game. So in the meantime, though, the early game, we've got the APCs coming in with engineers. They're going to go right past that lightning spike, and they're going to move in here between the harvester and the refinery.
And what is this that they're doing here, Jason? Am I mistaken, or was that a mine drop?
It looks like the APC mine drop. You don't see it often, but it's a great job right here because he's popping those buzzers, damaging the seekers. It's going to give his engineers the time they need.
And look at that. His engineer got in, captured the refinery while the harvester was docked. That's a huge win for R.
Yeah, $2,400 of Tiberium flowing in, plus the value of the buildings. So he's in great shape here. It looks like he's going to sell it. That refinery, that harvester's going to head home. The other engineer died, but overall, big win economically. So he's going to take a bite out of Medalon's significant base here. Medalon did a great job of setting up his base, but, you know, R had to come in and get his share.
Yeah, that's definitely going to hurt Medalon in the long term. Hopefully he can survive against it.
Yeah, it looks like he will. I mean, he's got a pretty strong base. So in the south here, meanwhile, R is at more of a disadvantage. Use that dig-in power to try and hold that bridge. The Seekers run right past it, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to hold that tip spike with those APCs.
Yeah, those APCs simply cannot hold up against that kind of firepower. All those Seeker tanks, even when they've got rocket guys in there, they have to get out.
Yeah, and covering their tracks, they use another mine drop, but the assimilator comes in, and at the end, he takes that tip spike.
Medalon enhancing his economy a little bit. He's going to need it to make up for that lost refinery.
And it looks like he's got a couple of rigs in here, so he's got the center of the map uncontested now, so he doesn't... R's base is not as strong as Medalon's, but he does have more tip spikes, and he's got more command over the field. And he's got a wider variety of units here, too. He's got snipers, he's got APCs, he's got predators, he's got everything.
So it looks like R has an MCV, and that's a new one, not his primary MCV, rolling into Medalon's base. This could be bad.
Yeah, so Medalon doesn't have a very large army. He's got his infrastructure up, he's got a lot of cash flowing in, but he has, and he's got those force fields, but it looks like this is just a little bit too early for him to be ready. He only has one tripod and a few other units hanging around.
Yeah, and that tripod is just getting eaten up by that sonic emitter. You know, I think if Medalon had spent a little more time building units and a little less time teching up, he'd probably be in a better position right now.
Yeah, and that shockwave artillery didn't help any. It stunned that tripod, put him at a disadvantage.
That was an excellent use of powers and units in combination by R. Really good play there.
So meanwhile, we have the Devastator. This is an artillery unit, not a frontline unit, even though it's got a force field. It's Devastator and a tripod trying to hold off a straight tank battle here. He's just not going to have enough to hold it together. But he's got another tripod coming out.
Yeah, but that Devastator just got devastated. It didn't do anything to those tanks, and I don't think one tripod's going to do anything either.
So it looks like this base is going to fall in the long run. He's got zone troopers coming in. Look at this. I mean, check out the variety of units that R is using. Metalon's long-term strategy, it might have held up a little bit better if he had just had one more minute to cash in some of that money on units.
Yeah, R really went all in early on and is paying dividends now. You can see Metalon's just been on the defensive this whole game, and again, more excellent power usage by R.
That's a big variety of stuff coming into his base. Doesn't look like he has much of a defense, and he surrenders.
Ooh, that's rough. You know, Metalon really didn't have much recourse against all those units, but he can't feel too bad. R was really playing a very strong game. He had lots of powers. He was coordinating them extremely well with a bunch of units. Saw some very interesting micro. Metalon cannot feel too bad about losing to R.
Metalon bet on the long-term sound strategy, straight up, teching up, force fields for his tripods. Normally a good bet. R was just a little bit too crazy for him, I guess.
Great match. Jason, Greg, what do the stats tell you about this match?
Well, if we take a look at the units graph, you can see at about the 3-minute mark, R really starts to pull away in unit production. And at about the 7-minute mark, there's a big battle and R clearly wins it.
Flip that around and look at the structures. Metalon was ahead the entire time. He was banking on teching up force fields, tripods, devastators. This could have paid off if he survived the initial rush.
Yeah, I think this was the classic rush strategy versus the tech strategy, and ultimately the rush strategy won, but I think that's largely due to R's excellent play, excellent micromanagement, and excellent use of powers.
And what would you identify as the play of the match?
Certainly when R rolls up with his APCs. He deploys mines, killing the buzzers, and that covers his engineers. The engineers run right into the refinery just as the harvester pulls up.
Yeah, he got all 2,400 Tiberium credits by capturing that refinery just in the nick of time. That's a huge advantage for a rusher who's not really focusing on their economy, and I really think it's ultimately what won him the game.
That does it for tonight's match. Congratulations to R for a great win, and to Metalon for putting up such a great fight. Greg, Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show.
And if all those epic units left you aching for more, don't miss next episode when we show you the lay of the land with some of the 30-plus maps in Kane's Wrath. For a sneak peek at some of the maps, go to www.battlecastprimetime.com/KW maps now.
And don't forget, next episode, we'll also have the highly anticipated interview with Natasha Henstridge. Well, our time is up. We bid you farewell from the land of Tiberium and remind you to Battlecast your next match for a shot to be featured here on Battlecast Primetime. For Raj Joshi, I'm David Silverman, and we'll see you on the battlefield. Ed Tiger.
Rock and roll, cheesecake.